Okay, we'll try this again. For some reason, I've been having issues with the computer here and it's been cutting out on me and doing weird stuff. And so I apologize if we lose connection while we're in the middle of this live at 5 o'clock. I'm on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 5. Sometimes I'll put a video up instead of a live on Saturday. But as it stands right now, here we are. And I just hope you're having a really great day and you've had a great week. And just here watching as our country burns. I love America. That's why I named this Midnight America. But I'm a bit of a black pill kind of a guy. I see things for what they really are and try not to see them through rose-colored glasses. I'm not saying that I'm not an optimist. I certainly am, but I can tell when people are destroying what is so wonderful and so valuable. And I just can't believe that there are people that hate America. That doesn't make any sense to me. You have such an opportunity to be anything and do anything in this country, and people choose, they make the choice, the actual choice to be a victim, to be a poor, pathetic victim, while at the same time pretending that they are some kind of a virtuous hero fighting against this evil country of ours that doesn't allow, that is just so racist and it's so homophobic and misogynistic. It's just terrible. Good God. What are we going to do? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to destroy it. We're going to tear it to pieces, dismantle it brick by brick, and turn it into this wonderful leftist wonderland of woke fantasy where socialism can take over and we can sit around all day and, pick flowers and play video games and get drunk and high, and the government will take care of us. The rich will take care of us while, to each in order to their needs, taken from each according to their what they're able to do. I don't remember exactly how it goes. It was kind of an Ayn Rand kind of a thing. Ayn Rand was kind of interesting. I didn't agree with necessarily all of her philosophical takes, but she had some interesting things. I did read both Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead, both. And boy, some thick reading, let me tell you. So, but I'm watching this craziness. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Hollywood, big business, the government institutions. I mean, even religion, schools, sports. I mean, are just being infected with this completely woke leftist ideology. And look, man, when it comes down to it, it's always easier to destroy than it is to build. It, could have taken us, decades, even centuries to build this country into what it is today, and to be the opportunity for so many, and why so many people want to come to this country, excuse me, and certainly not to this government, and why people would want to dismantle that and turn and look for problems, look for issues. Like, we live in such a comfortable society. It's like the Matrix. I was squeaking there. Squeaky. It's like the Matrix. When they said they made the perfect world, the Matrix made the perfect world, and that humanity, they defied it. They rejected it and said no, and they lost a bunch of the crop, which was the batteries, which were the humans in that particular movie, because we as humans, human nature is we need challenges. We need something that makes us feel like we're important and like we're doing something with a purpose. And some of us choose to do destructive things to find a purpose, and some of us, we look to be a value to the world, true value, And I've been watching this with the giants of industry. I mean, these companies taking on these woke ideologies, having this diversity stuff happening, of course, and strictly diversity. I have nothing against diversity, man. Who does? Who does? Nobody has a problem with that. They just know where the problem comes in is when that becomes the number one thing that we're looking at, because that is bigoted. That in its nature is racist. How a person cannot mentally grab that and understand. I can't fathom that. And Hollywood is losing its mind. Of course, now they have a what do they got going on? Writer strike, and then YouTube now. Of course, woke also got a little bit of that going on, and a lot of censorship going on there. But they are I think, kind of the new Hollywood. Some may disagree with me there, but that's where you're seeing the independent voices come out and speak, and not work under the boot of just the bureaucracy that is in Hollywood. And I was in Hollywood, worked in Hollywood for 6 years, and still working on some stuff now. I'm not going to get into that today, but I'm checking out this writer's strike that they got going on, and we'll kind of look into that a little bit and just see what that's about. Now, I have my opinions here, but let's see here. Give me a minute. And they talk about streaming services being a part of that as well. But what do you think that they are going on strike over? What do you think? Just before we get into this, what do you think that they are upset about? And just based on what's been coming out of there now, I'm going to assume that it's something that has some kind of leftist attachment to it, some kind of this fantasy again that we're going to live in this socialist paradise and that we're going to get something for nothing. That's the whole idea behind it. Those promises, and that's just not how the real world works. But we all know Hollywood isn't really, for many of these people, the real world. And so it's saying here the union representing 11,500 writers of film and television and other entertainment and forums are now on strike. Okay. And, this has happened many, many times before. I think they said that it was 6 times before. Let's see who it is that is essentially kind of gets into the numbers a little bit here. And, how did we get here? What shows will be affected first? Let's check that out just to see, and see if they're more, maybe practical minded shows. I'm going to say common sense shows or woke shows. Let's see. Late night talk shows heavily dependent on same day current events based on comedy writing. That makes sense. We're the first to feel the strikes effect. I did get past the 3rd grade. I really did. The shows have been the de facto frontline during previous writers' strikes. Let's see. It's NBC's Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, woke. And then we got woke Jimmy Kimmel Show and CBS's woke late show with ultra woke late show with Stephen Colbert. And then what else? The late show. Okay. And then also, ultra woke Saturday Night Live. Woke to the extent that they're a comedy show with no comedy. But they can certainly shove that, the whole woke ideology down your throat, man. You bad, bigoted, homophobic person. Man, nobody has any issues with it. These guys would just get over this crap and move on and just be funny again. Make fun of people. It's okay. Even those who make it the widow feet was hurt. Those are the ones you want to make fun of the most. When I was growing up, if somebody was insulted, if you meant it, like they said, wow, that really hurt me, that was offensive, you did it intentionally. Then you knew you were getting insulted to be offended. Now it's like you just say this, you say something, oh, that's offensive. You're like, what did I say? I have no idea, because it's the victim thing, but I know this, man. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys who come to this channel, you're smart enough to know this. Well, let's see, what it is that they're really wanting. I'm sure it's something completely founded, and that they're not trying to get something for nothing, because they wouldn't do that. Let's see. The group has said that the writers' health care, child care, and pension benefits set them far apart from the gig economy. And that's not it. It's in here. It's got to be in here. Show effective. How will the strike affect the scripted series movies? Well, we know how it's gonna affect all of that. A lot of these woke movies that you really enjoy going and seeing right now, those projects will be shut down. It's just a shame. Just a damn shame. I'm not finding it here, but I'm not my reading retention has always been terrible. I don't know why I do a show like this, but it's here. Let's see. On-show staff's working regardless of... Okay. On-show staffs, more writers are working at minimum regardless of experience, often for fewer weeks. Okay, well, they shouldn't do that. Let's see. It's got to be in here. No. Okay. Well, I'm not going to bore you guys trying to find it. Good, but I would go in here and I would just venture to guess. Well, let's see here. What's this say here? Okay, here we go. If writing needs to be done, streamers. Okay, let's start at the top here. The Alliance of Motion. Okay, let me see. Can you see this? Let me bring this down. Like I said, my computer's acting really jumpy here. So the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, which represents Hollywood studios, streamers, and production companies, says that writers' demands would require that they be kept on staff and paid when there is no work for them. Well, that's not something for oh, wait, it is. If writing needs to be done, writers are hired, but these proposals require the employment of writers, whether they're needed for creative process or not. Isn't there a thing called unemployment that you can go on during that time? I bet no, they want their regular salaries, I'm sure. Yeah. How could I have ever known? How could I have ever guessed? Obviously, I hadn't completely read through here, but I knew it had to be here somewhere. And it didn't take much to find it, did it? Okay. But is this something for us to be brokenhearted about, really? Because at the end of the day, they're wanting something for nothing, and they're destroying, look, I love films, man. I love Hollywood. This has always been it was always my dream to go and work in Hollywood growing up and being a part of that whole culture. And because I love movies, and during that time, movies, we were talking about growing up in the 80s, 90s, moving into the 2000s, and there were really great films that came out, and just they haven't been able to put anything out that anybody wants to go see, because they're spending too much time trying to teach the lesson to us, to we who are just cannot understand how the level of, what's the word I'm thinking of, of awareness that they have. Again, going back to the woke, the level of awareness that they have that you plebes just cannot comprehend. But do not worry. Just come to our movies, and of course we're going to stuff them full of diversity. And if you don't come see them, we'll call you racist and bigoted and misogynistic and whatever names we can, because that's really how you get people to do what you want, is you guilt them. You guilt them, and you make them feel small and like you are far above them. And that gets them every time. Guilt puts butts in seats. That's what I always heard. Yeah. So they're destroying our the old films, man, the classics, Disney's, going up in flames. The MCU's pretty much, I mean, they're spotty right now. Every once in a while they get one through that people actually want to see, but most of that's all turned into the Church of Wokeness. And then, of course, they can't do anything original anymore. It's terrible. It's terrible. Look, I'm just not going to go on and on about that. But I do hate that they have destroyed all of the classics, all these remakes that they're doing, these live remakes, and then, plugging in, race swapping and gender swapping every character. And then, of course, if you don't come see them, well, you're the problem. You're the problem. It's hard to feel sorry for these people, and they're losing money hand over fist. The big businesses, like I said, these giants of industry, they are losing money left and right. And I'm not sure that they're going to get it. It really doesn't matter. They can lose money, burn piles of money, just like culture, just like America itself. They will burn it to the ground the whole time, thinking that they are completely in the right, and they would rather be right than rich, right than prosperous, and right. They'd rather be right than actually valuable to the world. That's what I think anyway. I'll get off my soapbox on that, but I did. I saw Tim Pool the other day, and this is where I came to that conclusion. I was watching an episode the other day, and if you guys didn't catch it, you really need to. It was only, I think it's the day before yesterday, a couple days ago. He had I think the guy is a YouTuber. I think maybe he's a podcaster or a YouTuber. He's from Canada. His name was Lance, and he was a hardcore leftist, a self-admitted leftist on there. Now, Tim Pool's show is not a conservative show necessarily. They do have some conservative beliefs, and certainly with a couple of the hosts, or at least especially one, Seamus, that's on there. He's pretty, he's a hardcore Christian, and, sometimes comes off a little pious in my opinion. I think the guy's a funny guy. I really enjoy listening to him, but they got a good mix. Let's just put it that way of angles that they come at things from, and they do a very good job of checking their sources, and Tim Pool especially is very quick when it comes to checking sources, and I wish I could type as fast as he could, but anyway, Lance came there prepared very well, in my opinion. I thought, I'll give him credit on this end. He was willing to get into the snake pit and go at it with these guys. Okay. And he was, he showed up with receipts, that at least what he thought were receipts. And, he had his information kind of ready to go. He was sharp. He was quick. He was pretty self-assured of himself, and took on each issue, and took on real issues that are contentious between the right and the left head on, in my opinion. And so I'll give him credit there. Beyond that, he was batshit crazy. Okay. He was smart. I wouldn't call him dumb at all. Just I guess I'm thinking to myself, I don't understand how a mind like this works. And I guess I never will. And maybe it goes on both sides. On their side, they look at somebody with common sense, and they don't see common sense. They see somebody that's just a terrible, awful human being, someone that they must destroy. And so they went back and forth on this show, and they covered everything from transgender kids to late-term abortions. They covered a little bit of the Jordan Neely episode that happened in New York on the subway. And, everybody's got an opinion on that. I certainly do, but I'm not going to go into it now. But the thing that really hit me with this was, no matter what they said to him, what evidence they brought, what common sense they brought, how much they really created a scenario where he found himself contradicting himself back and forth, and Obviously so. I mean, to the point where it's like, dude, come on. All right. And he was steadfast. There was no change. You could just tell there was nothing that was going to move this guy. And, you know, Tim Pool kind of called it as it is. And, you know, you could go over here to Twitter, and I'm just going to kind of play a little segment. Hopefully the audio comes through. I've had issues with that lately, but, and like I said, the computer's been glitchy too, but you can listen here. This is just one segment, and there's tons of these that people were posting because it was gold. Okay. Really, what an amazing display of where the polarization is right now between ideology, between the way people think. Now, he is kind of on an extreme end, but there are people on the other side too that are kind of conservative minded. I don't necessarily go to that direction either. I'm not a Republican. I'm a person who wants to stay in the middle. I kind of want to think with an open mind, but I know whacked when I see it. And I basically just look at things. Does this make common sense or does this not make common sense? So we'll see if we can listen to one little segment here. And
You know what I think? I think there is a transgenocide.
Okay.
And I think it's you.
Okay.
Because you're sterilizing a lot of these people.
How so?
I mean, they're literally sterilizing them. The surgery to remove the gonads, hysterectomies, and puberty and cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers have a high rate of sterilization. I mean, first of all, removal of the gonads in the uterus is an absolute sterilization. And then puberty blockers have a very high rate, and cross-sex hormones have an extremely high rate of sterilizing the individual. So
that's pretty common sense right there. Pretty straightforward. You know, if you're transgendering these people, you're in many, if not most cases, you're sterilizing them. How can you argue that?
These people can no longer reproduce. That's genocide.
Is this the joke you're going to go for?
Joke? You are removing these people.
Now, do you see what he did there? Exactly what I said earlier. The guilt thing. It's I'm going to make you look stupid. I'm not really going to come back with anything to debate you on this because what you said was complete common sense, but really, that's actually a great comeback that's used by leftists. Really? Like that's some kind of an argument. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be, well, yeah, really? Okay, I guess it worked for them when they were a kid and they kind of grew up and they continue to use that tactic in arguments, but anyway.
Ability to reproduce. Mm-hmm. And if they're at a young age and they haven't had the ability, like for instance, Jazz Jennings can never have kids. Jazz Jennings also, and this probably part of your studies, can't actually feel any sexual feeling of any kind.
Do you have any idea how weird this sounds right now?
See, do you know how weird you sound, man? How weird, dude. Now wait, I guarantee you this is going to kind of.
Why are you obsessing with a stranger's genital pleasure? That's so weird.
oh, he turns into this. You're concerned with their genital pleasure. How strange and odd. You should be ashamed. My God, what are you? Some kind of creep? Tactic.
That's so bizarre.
That was very weird yourself.
You guys are all weird.
No. So I'm talking about adults who engage in activities, which is a large portion of the global economy, whether you like it or not. Sure. Sex sells, they say. And when I say this person will never have this ability, you go, how weird is that?
It's weird for you to fixate on a stranger's genital pleasure. That's strange.
Do you see that? He's making a brilliant point. And he's diverting. And he's because there's no place to go with it. So he's going to try to shame him. Again, guilt him for going down that road.
Strange. That's so bizarre.
Well, she's public about it.
But see, you're not making an argument right now, is my point.
I'm not. I'm saying it's weird. It's not an argument.
Yeah,
that's an observation.
So you're trying to make an appeal to emotion and an appeal to shame.
I'm just giving you my genuine thought when you say something like that. Like,
it was a really fucking pathetic attempt at trying to make an argument.
Why should we talk about that? Why should we discuss whether or not she has genital feeling? That's not important. It's not. It's not in my business.
The fact of whether or not you're taking away somebody's ability to enjoy any kind of sexual pleasure in the future is unimportant. That's crazy. That to me is nuts. Okay, but I'm neither here nor there. I'm not there on the panel.
So let's focus then on the sterilizing of the individual. Are you okay with that?
Who's sterilizing people?
Jazz Jennings is sterile.
Why are we going back to Jazz Jennings? I don't
Because
know.
Jazz
I don't know
Jennings is
any.
Because she's an example of what we're talking about. This is actually not one of his best moments. He had Lance had some better moments in here where he was debating back and forth. He still was completely losing every single argument that he put forward. And they were just dismantling his argument terribly. And again, putting him in a position to always contradict himself constantly. But it was a play on emotion. But here's the thing on this, because I'm not going to keep going, back and forth on this too much. Go and watch the show. It's completely worth checking out. If for no other reason to just see kind of how things are just split right now. These two, the ways that people think are just on polar opposites of the spectrum, and each feels completely right. And it scares me. It scares me where this is going to take this beautiful country, or at least this once grand and completely diverse in not just race and gender and all of that, but in ideology, in the idea that we can have conversations and speak openly about things. And actually, I will respect that with this show, is that they were very open conversations, and it leaves it up to you to kind of decide what you believe and what you think. And I certainly, know what side of the fence I fell on there. But no, it was an interesting show either way, but this is where we're going. We're going in this direction. I will mention the fact also, he when it came to this Jordan Neely situation, and it's a sad story. It's a bad story. There's no winning in it. Nobody wins here. Okay. The guy who was homeless and, was carrying on the subway, and he got choked out because people were getting scared. He had already been arrested like 42 times, and people weren't sure what he was going to do. He's going on there saying, I'm going to kill everybody. I'm not afraid to go back to jail. I'm not afraid to do life in prison, all this kind of stuff. And that can get people kind of worried. And so he got choked out. This young Marine choked him out. This is not a win for him. This is not a win for anyone. And we need to wait to see what the toxicology report brings in, what they find out when they do the autopsy and all of that, before we start jumping on a big emotional ranting tirade, much like this guy, Tim Pool was bringing to our attention, that this guy kind of operates completely on emotion. But it's not going to change anybody's opinion. I'm fully aware of that. Okay. I mean, everyone here should be at this point understanding. If you come on here and listen to this, you're part of what we're doing here. And you have this kind of way of thinking, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change your mind. Enjoy the show. I hope you get something out of it, but I'm not expecting to turn over a new leaf for anybody. And, if you're somebody that kind of understands where I'm coming from, maybe I'll give you a little validation in hopes that you move forward, because we do have to step out and speak our mind. I think that's what a hero is. Even if it doesn't matter if you're left, right, somewhere in the center, step out. Do not be afraid to debate and let people decide for themselves. You shouldn't be shutting people up. You should not be censoring people's voices, and calling heroes villains and villains heroes, which is what's going on with this George Neely thing. They're calling, some people are calling the villain the hero. Some are calling the hero the villain. You decide. I'm not going to make that decision for you. But I'm going to tell you, when you call the hero a villain and then think you're a virtuous hero, guess what you are? I think you can figure it out. Think about it. And so anyway, no, they don't care. They don't care if people like this do not care how much they don't make sense. Tearing down the system is the important thing. Turning this into a socialist wonderland of some kind of fantasy that they think this is going to be is their goal. They don't care what they destroy, whether it is Hollywood, whether it is YouTube, whether it is big business like Budweiser and Dylan Mulvaney and all of that. They got some dancing, squeaky, prancy twink running around through the fields, acting like a 5-year-old, and then saying, "Take me seriously." This is the point. If you want to be taken seriously, treat it seriously, but don't become this caricature that you say, "No, everybody needs to take me serious." And when you do that, especially with a business like Budweiser, who's been around for, God, I think they've been around for well over a century now. And the whole shtick, the whole spiel with Budweiser forever, I don't drink Budweiser. I think it's piss myself, but I have friends that do, that freaking religiously drink or have religiously drank Budweiser in the past. And what was it always about? What were the commercials always about? They were about, being tough and hanging out with friends. And I know a lot of those commercials back in the day, especially, were all about partying and hanging out. And they had the good looking guys and the women, in bikinis hanging around the pool. And it just kind of build that whole sexual fantasy that is kind of tied in to booze. It's a good thing to tie in together because, you go out and it kind of loosens greases the wheels a little bit, and you're able to kind of go out and, I guess it was more something back in the day when I was dating than it is now. Everybody just swipe, but back in those, back in, don't want to date myself too much, but let's just say back when I was out carousing, God, that sounded like an old dude, didn't it? You had to be able to be a little smooth. You had to kind of be able to come off like, you had a little bit of self-amusement, and you were kind of the good guy to hang around with, and, you had to be able to lay down the lines and all that kind of stuff. You had to win them over. How to do that? You don't have to do that so much anymore, I don't think. But anyway, when you take a brand like that and you tie it in to something, think about what I'm saying here. At one point, you're saying you're building the fantasy of what it's like to be out partying and drinking and hanging out, and I want to be a part of that. That's my gig. And then you show this trans twink who's like acting like he's 5 years old and giddy and stupid and silly and talking about tampons, and everybody's seen all of his freaking weird ass videos already, and then showing him in the tub drinking a bud and saying, "Is this our new fantasy? This is the fantasy, huh?" Man, you lose. Let's look into this a little bit, because they say that it's all a boycott and all of that, but really, I'm kind of curious as to. Let's see here. I'm looking it up here. I'm kind of curious as to how much they have really lost at this point. And it's sad. I mean, look, it's just not that you wish the worst, especially for something like this. It's kind of an Americana product. Let's see if this is it. Let's see what I got here. I'm kind of center that in a little bit. Budstock Weekend Friday after Budweiser, Bud Light, and Michelob Ultra, maker of Anheuser. They've been calling it Anheuser-Busch. InBev cleared estimates for the first quarter, blah, blah, blah. See, that's the other thing, too, is they really don't have all the numbers in as to how much money they've lost because they do it by quarter. Results on the earnings, this is kind of showing, this is not a good. What are we looking at here? This is Investors Business Daily. So they're going to be showing numbers here that aren't going to really reflect what's happening right now. Let's go down a little bit. Here, Bud Light volumes dives. Bud Light volume dives. Okay. Bud Light volume sales, including sales at grocery, convenience, and liquor stores, tumbled 26.1% year over year for the week ending April 22nd. April, May, okay. And so they do have kind of a weekly number here. April 15th, volumes were down 21.1%. That's going to be in the billions, guys. Bud Light sales volumes are down 8% so far this year. This is the result of one can. It was not made for production or general public, CEO Michael Daukeris said. Talk about lack of self-awareness. These guys have this. So the lack of self-awareness here is dumbfounding. Okay. This was the result of one can? Damn. It was not made for production or the general public. Don't they know that? I just explained it clearly to you that you built up a brand based on an ideal. Something that people had it's Americana, got the Clydesdales and, support the military and sports and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And then some humor. They had the humor in the Bud Bowl and all that kind of stuff. But the fantasy element of this, when you start putting some, little trans dude on there, this guy is not the fantasy of anyone but probably a pedophile, honestly. Maybe some kind of male, because like I said, he doesn't act like a full-grown woman. He acts like a little 5-year-old. We got me not understand why no one like me. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Dowker said in the earnings call, adding it was just one social media post and one influencer. Don't get it. They ain't going to get it. You know what? These guys are going to lose money. And at this point, when you are this dense, you deserve it. You got it coming. Okay. You got to bring it back. However, it's still too early to determine the full impact of the boycott. Again, I don't think this is really as much. I hear everybody talking about that, like the boycott. I just think they don't want to associate themselves with a beer that is now being you're identifying yourself with this, okay? And it wasn't just one post either. You're completely ignoring your base, your customer base. When it may subside, he said. Dowker noted that there was some spillover to other brands to clarify. Blah blah blah. Everything we should do should be about. Everything we should do should be about beer. Dowker said. Beer itself should not be the focus of the debate. Wait, what? Everything we should be about beer. Beer itself should not. Beer is not the focus of the debate whatsoever. How you're pitching and promoting and who you're tying the brand into is the problem. Oh, you're a Bud drinker? Really? Huh. You go. Yeah. I mean, this is just common sense. I'm out of here. This is dumb. If you can't understand that this is taking us nowhere good, as long as you keep tying yourself into this, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it will tank you. All of these people who carry this completely woke ideology are in the extreme minority, but they get together in groups and they make a lot of noise and seem like they puff it out and seem like they're much bigger than they actually are. And this is not the majority of what people want. And it will reflect in sales. It's as simple as that. I don't think, look, I'll speak out a little bit on conservative people too. And that's that they don't tend to be real good at getting together and saying, let's do this together as a mob and let's boycott this. They're not good at that. What they are good, but they do think about how this affects their own personal lives. Okay, when they're hanging out with friends, like this is like something that hits people in their homes, around their friends, hanging out with others, in the bar. It literally affects them, and they don't want to, say, hey man, what you doing with that tranny fluid? Okay, because that's what they'll do. Okay, so I wouldn't call it as much of a boycott as it is a result, but that's me. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I think we've kind of reached a point now where we're just. If you've ever seen the movie Idiocracy, I was mentioning this to my wife this morning. I was like, man, the world is like Idiocracy right now, and people just dumb out on just the stupidest shit. This is what makes TikTok what it is. Is just you see something that's just watching the grass grow, and they're just like, and it's just, what the hell? They're stuttering, and it's like, good God, man. It's just we're not operating at our best right now, but it is what it is. And again, that's why I call it the Midnight American, is because I love America. I love what we're about. I want to see us prosper. Once again, I want to see everything come into diversity in a way where it's a diversity of thought and ideals and friendships and get away from all of, like we hold each other to a higher ideal. We don't try to crush each other down, saying, by calling each other names and trying to guilt each other into believing in our way of thinking with actually absolutely no facts or common sense to back it. And I do not want to, and I will completely reject living in a leftist fantasy land of wonder and magic socialism that will make everything, that will make this terrible, terrible country go away, and we can rise it up from the earth into this beautiful socialist utopia. I reject it in full. I will not obey. And that's all I got for you today, guys. I thank you so much for being here. Go on over to dirtcapsulestudio.com if you want to see where I make these, and also midnightamerican.com. And you can see more of these kind of videos. These are the lives I'm putting out right now. I will be putting regular videos up as well. But until next time, which will be Monday at 5 o'clock, know yourself better than you know anyone else.